is a, according to the Schwinn serial number lookup tool, it's either a 52 or a 57 straight bar frame. It's like one of the frames we all want, you know. I'm wearing this denim jacket because these wire wheels on the grinder, they will throw off little pieces of steel. They always want to hit me in the groin for some reason. Everybody wants to kick me in the groin for some reason. I don't know what I do to people. There's a piece right there. There's another piece. You have to be careful with this. This frame was actually given to me by a guy that isn't going to talk to me anymore. I don't know what his problem is. He said, last time I saw him, was like, you flipped everybody off one day, like, as a joke, and he's taking shit too seriously. I don't think it's about that. It's got to be about something else. But anyhow, I digress. Pretty cool frame. Oh, how's my hair? Clown hair. Once again, hair and makeup person did not show up. I'll put the hat on to spare you what I look like. And for some reason, as I've mentioned before, I don't know why, but I look bald in all my videos. It's crazy. It's my own narcissism kicking in there. So, I want to talk about this. Well, first of all, with the grinder, I think that this is probably the most efficient tool for quickly removing your paint, stickers, rust, that sort of thing. As I mentioned, here's a wheel I was using this morning. You can see how there's wire missing. And that all ended up in my clothes, in my face, and everything else. So you have to be careful with this sort of thing. This frame in particular was, like I said, it was given to me because it was busted. It was in bad shape. And it's not cheap to have somebody fix one of these things properly. I brought it over to Chad Logan, Mr. Tick Bicycle Products, and it was busted here, and these were busted. So he did all this real nice brazing. Super tough now. He put in his jig. He fixed, repaired the dropouts. It's a nice straight frame. Pretty cool. It does have some relatively heavy pitting on it. You can see it. I hope you can. And what you can do with a Schwinn frame versus like a Cleveland Welding Company or one of the lighter frames is, and I think you can only do this with a Schwinn. I would only attempt it with a Schwinn because the thickness of the wall, the tubing here, is thick enough to do it, would be to take something like this here, one of these disc pads, and you can take it off. But you have to be careful because you're going to put flat spots on the round. So what you end up with was a line where you drag this across, so it's think, of lines. And you don't want that on your frame. You want a round frame. So you have to go with a light touch with this. And then you can kind of hit it with a file and some sandpaper. You can make it round again. But you have to be careful, and that is a lot of work. It's a lot of work to do that. It's worth it, though. Nothing is more kind of ridiculous than somebody selling a bike that's been freshly painted, and when you come up and you look at it close, you could see the pitting under the paint. What is that, man? Like, you took all the time to paint it. You didn't do any prep whatsoever. You could have at least filled that with something first. But again, on the Schwinn frames, you'll see what happens with this when it's done, when I paint it. It's going to go orange. Orange has been a color that's been good to me. So, yeah, that's what's happening. What else did I do to this? The kickstand mount was cut short. It was pretty well butchered. And so I cut it away, but I'm keeping this piece of steel here for strength. The welds on it are pretty strong, so I just cut that off. That's the other tool you want to be using with this, is a grinding wheel, cutting wheel. All right, a lot of sparks. I also ground down the seam on here, not all the way. You can make it so it's not even noticeable, but that's unimportant to me. I told Chad a while ago, he goes by Tick 1, so I always have him put Tick in the bottom of the bottom brackets, at least on the bikes he does for me. I think he's doing on all of them now. This way you know that this has been hand brazed and repaired correctly, and it's a nice straight frame. I think that's a nice thing to do. So that's it, man. The beginnings of a new Klunker build. You know, this will probably go, it'll be like a Klunker BMX Cruiser. I haven't really decided yet. I've got a black Sidewinder style Schwinn BMX fork that's going to go on there. And with the orange, be a little, I guess that'll be a little Halloweeny. Maybe I'll paint the fork orange too, I don't know. But there you have it. Vintage straight bar frame. I will say, when I went to pick this up, I brought my 38 Schwinn pre-war over to him, which is, I don't know, it's basically like the frame that's on my shirt right now. And when you hold these two frames, this one is noticeably heavier. You know, this frame, it's probably a few pounds heavier. I mean, you can feel it. So, it's something to know. Again, that goes to the thickness of the wall tubing. So, I'm going to keep working on this. Keep in mind, you know, I kind of wanted to show this off because if you see one of my bikes that is, where I've put the time into actually painting it, this is the type of work that goes into it. You're going to have a whole day or more just getting this steel to look right before you even get to painting it and everything. And before that, you might have, this is $200-250 to have this repair done, is done right. So, you know, you have a lot of money. What's the frame cost? You're going to find a decent straight bar frame. What's that going to cost you? So before you even get into the parts, and the parts, I mean, if you look at what's happening these days with BMX parts from the 80s, I mean, a decent 4-bolt stem, alloy stem, I mean, it could be anywhere from $100 to $1,000. And if you're talking about like Cook Brothers stuff, those things, $2,500, $3,000 or more just for a stem. So I was trying to find decent quality vintage bike parts to put on it. And when you do the math on what you can get for those individual parts, and then you think about all the work that goes into building the thing, you understand why the numbers are what they are. But, you know, when you get one of these bikes, and I'm not the only guy that does this, and I didn't invent this, but when you get a bike that's well done, that has quality parts on it, and they're all vintage, it's made in the USA right here, you know, you just have to think about that. You're getting a bike that's made from vintage parts, but it's a new bike. Functions like a new bike, and it's not made in China. I mean, these days your tires might be made in China, or your tubes, which is kind of a bummer. Taiwan's a little better. So anyhow, that's that. Thought you might dig it. The beginnings of a new Klunker build. Maybe that's the title of this one. I'm going to get back to work. Have a great day. Be good to one another. If I could do it, you could do it.